Hello, I'm trying this thing where I introduce myself in the beginning now. Hello, I'm Davis, and I'm the creator of The Six Shop. When it comes to establishing tone, I find that nighttime cinematography to be the most fun when it comes to creating mood for a lot of my stories. And I thought just shooting this simple scene with my buddy David would be a good way to show you how I approach nighttime cinematography and also some other principles I use in my day-to-day work to achieve that tonality that I consider to be the most important thing for your visual language as a cinematographer. Because I wanted better low light, I did not shoot this on my Ursa. I shot this on the BlackMagic Pocket Cinema 6K. And one of the rules I made for myself for this scene is that I can only use one lens. The lens I chose was the Helios 44-2 58mm vintage lens that I actually bought off of someone on Etsy who was able to give it anamorphic mods in order to give it a more oval bokeh and also an anamorphic lens flare, which didn't work as it should, but we'll get there. The other rule, every shot has to be locked off. No handheld, no dollies, no push, no tilts, no nothing. Every shot will be locked off and composition will be king, as well as just establishing a presence of our actor and our mood. The last rule is that I will only use one light. I made this rule so that we can celebrate the location that we shot this in, really let it sing, but also just amplify the available light that was there. The one light I chose was my pavo tube with a pool noodle. I chose this because one, it's a battery powered light. I didn't have to worry about getting a generator out there, an extension cord, or setting up some crazy G&E to get something like my 300X out there, or something with a little more power. And why do I think you should make rules when you make a scene? Because when you make rules and you somewhat quote unquote limit yourself, you actually find yourself in a more creative space to hone in on a specific style you're trying to achieve. And by making those rules, you stay firm and you stay true to the visual language that you are trying to establish in your films. And just remember, doing something can be powerful, but what you don't do as a cinematographer or a director is also as powerful, sometimes even more. We were smart with the location. The street lights were giving all the ambiance that we needed. And the way we showed these street lights in the frame, we were able to pretty freely move around this pavo tube until it was in a good enough space to wrap around David's face. But because you're seeing those street lights going up on the street, your mind is able to convince itself that the light wrapping around his face is coming from those lights, which of course it isn't. I hope if you guys take anything out of this video, even more so than the rules, it's how something so simple can look so striking. We're allowing the darkness to really sing here while giving us enough on the character to also let him pop. And that's the same look we used for the entire scene. I would just make very minute adjustments to the pavo tube as far as the distance to character, the brightness when it came to the macros, until we got the look I was going for. We also took a lot of advantage of this location. Normally, I do like these upwards kind of like hero shots. They are just very interesting to me, and I love looking up into the streetlights. But normally when you do this, you might get a streetlight in the shot and you're just looking at blue sky, especially since I'm shooting on a 50mm, so I'm not getting a huge field of view as far as the background's concerned. But because the street we chose is a very steep decline, no matter which way we swung it, we were shooting up and we were getting houses, we were getting a row of streetlights, we're getting a literal leading line of light coming in. And there's a fun little mistake. The anamorphic mod on my lenses, they're a little quirky, they're a little canted, so they come in at a diagonal. So rather than just say not use the lens, we actually use it to our advantage. And because of that, one, you get something that's kind of interesting, but also our anamorphic flare can now act as a leading line or as part of the composition, which is not something I normally would have thought of, like ever. So to wrap this all up, because we stuck with the rules that we established for ourselves before shooting, we took the time to look at the location to make sure that it met our needs both aesthetically and thematically, and because we also took the time to maximize the simple yet effective tools that were at our disposal, we were able to, within an hour, achieve a very effective, moody, cinematic look in a nighttime scenario. Add in a bit of stoicism from our actor, a little bit of cigarette smoke, and you have the mood, theme, and atmosphere that we are going for. Moving on with the channel, I definitely want to do more scene recreations like this where I'm actually making scenes that I would make for a real short film. We'll try to step away from gear a little bit and get back to what really this channel should be. Talking about the philosophy, the execution, and what it practically means to be a filmmaker in both the sense as a solo and guerrilla filmmaker and a real working director or DP. This has been Davis with The Sixth Shop, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.